What's up, everybody? Today we're going to talk about something a lot of new players ask. There's a lot of seasoned players that wonder this too, but a lot of new players, usually the ones that ask, where do I farm mid essences? What is the best level in Hall of Magic for mid essences? So I decided there's enough people asking about this, there's enough people curious about this, and I'll tell you why in a second, that I'm like, I need to do some research. I did 500 runs, B6 through B10. I didn't bother with the lower ones, right? I think everyone's just wants to know. I think the lower ones would have just been a waste, right? And actually, after I gathered the data from these 5, it kind of explains, like, yes, the lower ones would have been a waste, right? But this is the reason that people want to know, if you're unaware of like why would anyone care so much about mid magic essences, is that everyone seems to need mid magic essences. Everyone, every monster you awaken, 3, 4, or 5 stars of any element needs mid magic essences, right? The 3-star ones, they don't need highs, right? But they need mids. 4 stars, 5 stars, both need mids. Every monster of basically any value, unless you're awakening angel mons, right? So the angel mons are fine, but everyone else needs mid magic essences. So there needs to be enough to go around, and everyone seems to be low on mid magics. And there's even a select group of players, not a select group, but there's a pretty decent sized group of players that are like, please come to us, let us unfuse and break down high essences because we need more mids and we're getting way too many highs and we don't have enough mids. So I went through, like I said, I went through 6 through 10 to find out exactly what, because I always say, just farm the highest level dungeon, you know, and that's the best, right? And then you'll get just the most value out of it, you'll get the most of everything. But I was like, you know what, let's go and see which one actually gives you the most mids. Maybe there's one level that it's like, oh, this just happens to be much better to get mid essences, alright? So here we go, we're going to start with B6, and then we're going to see as we progress, and then we're going to compare them to each other. Okay, now I tracked the other data too. I tracked like Rainbow Mons and Mystical Scrolls, whatever. That's really like such a small amount of anything that really it's insignificant. But if anyone wants to know, I just don't see anyone knowing that. So it was just, these aren't the only things that dropped from these dungeons. That's what I'm trying to say. Other stuff dropped from them, but these are just counting the essences. Took everything aside, and we're just focusing on the essences, right? Okay, so Hall of Magic B6 we started with, we have 4 of the 100 runs ended in high essence drops, right? Pretty low. 38 ended in mid essence drops, and 31 ended in low essence drops. So the low essences, we see like on average, it's like it dropped about, we got 85 low essences total. It dropped about like 2 and 2/4, like between 2 and 3 on average low essences per Hall of Magic run. The mid essences usually drops just 1, right? And we're talking B6 though, we're talking B6. So it's looking like this, usually 2 to 3 essences every time we get like, you got low essences, it's usually 2 to 3. Mid essences, it's usually like 1 or 2, and then high essences, it's usually 1. Alright, so no one really cares about B6, right? Who cares about B6? Not me, not you. B7, okay. A little bit more realistic of something that someone would farm. I mean, unless you're early game. If you're super early game, then maybe you are farming B6. But B7, we got 114 low essences, 28 drops of 114, which means 3 to 4 per drop. 3 to 4 essences per drop of this. It's a pretty noticeable, I mean, it's a pretty decent improvement over B6. 33 of the drops were mid essences, and we got 51 mid essences total. Not really a big improvement over B6 was only 3, right? We only did 3 improvement over in 100 runs. We got 3 more mid essences from doing B7. Not really a big deal. 33 drops, like I said, we're averaging about 1.5 mid essences, between 1 to 2 per run. And then high essences still, we see the same, 9 drops, 11 total. So we're seeing about 1 high essence drop per run, per time that we actually get a high essence. It's usually 1. Then we see Hall of Magic B8, slightly different. Okay, slightly more improved high essence drop chance. Now we're seeing about 1.5 high essences per time they drop, right? And an improved drop rate. So it is at least a more decent size Especially considering this was so small. So small. This is, but we don't really see too much of a difference in the mid-essence drops, right? We're seeing like, again, we're seeing like between 1 to 2 on average drop every time. Then we see low essence drops. We see it's 33 drops here, 32 drops here. We're seeing low essences. We're getting like on average 4 every time we get a low essence drop. We're getting 4 of them. Quantity of 4. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Jellybean? So 4 here per time we get them. 1.5 here and 1.5 here. All right, for B8. And then we see B9. Bigger chance of getting high essences. So the high essence, really we're seeing mid essences are just staying the same. Low essences are getting low. There's less chance of getting lows and an increased chance of getting highs. So we have 22 drops, 98. So we're seeing almost 5. We're seeing between 4 to 5 every time we do Hollow Magic B9 and we get a low essence drop. We get 4 to 5 each. And then we see about 1.5 mid essences on average every time we're getting a mid essence drop. Every time we get a high essence drop, we see about a little over 1.5 as well. But really the big thing is, if you look at the difference between here and here, these mid essences, or in here too, the mid essences seem to really not be changing size too much. They're really not changing, like the percentage-wise, really not changing size too much. It's the highs and the lows that are really making the most difference. We see B10, low essences 28 drops, 122, 28 times we got low essences from B10. That seems like a lot though. That seems like a lot for B10. Really, we're getting too many low essences from B10. I think that's a little. We should be getting more mids. We really should. And we're seeing 100. We got 122 low essences all day from 100 runs of B10. Because, like I said, we did 100 runs of each of these. So yeah, we're seeing that. Mid essences between 1 and 2 again. Between 1 to 2 on average. It's mostly 1 and 3 actually. It's mostly, like I noticed, that it's mostly either 1 or it's 3. On average 1.5, but it's mostly like 1 or like you'll get sometimes 3. And then high essences 22 drops, 33 high essences total out of B10. So you can say, pretty certain if you're trying to grind on B10 to get, for example, if you want to, I know we're talking about mids, but if you want to go for highs, if you need to awaken something, a nat 5 and you need 20 high essences, you really should be set after you do it 70 times. 7. See, I wish 7 times. But 70 times you should be set from, generally speaking, to get enough to awaken that. Sometimes you might need more, sometimes you might need less, but pretty set. But I think the most important thing, I know we talked a lot in circles. It's actually not going to be too long of a video because we're done now, basically. But at the end of the day, 100 runs of each dungeon, this is what we got. That is way too similar. So it almost, at the end of the day, if you are just trying to do Hall of Magic for mid essences, it literally almost doesn't matter. Literally almost doesn't matter. This is too close. This is too close. 48, 51, 46, 54, 54. It's too close. It means like it doesn't matter what you do. B6, B7, B8, B9, B10. It doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't, almost doesn't make a difference what you do. Like, yeah, you might want the highs for later, unless you have 200 highs, but even so, let's go through the chart again. Let's say you're like, okay, well, what if I want to fuse some lows to make more mids too? Get some value out of that. I know it's going to cost me 10,000 mana every time. We see B6, we got 85, we got 114 from B7, we got 128 from B8, we got 98 from B9, 122. So I'd say anything from B8, B9, or B10. We could have just got unlucky, got a little bit less drops here, maybe. But it's almost the same for that too. If you're looking to fuse things for, if you're looking to fuse things to make mids out of those. Really, it almost doesn't matter whether it's B6 or B10. You're almost gonna get the same amount of mids. So It was kind of an eye-opening. It was kind of like a bummer. I was like, man, that was a lot of energy wasted. Not wasted. We'll use it definitely. You know, we always need mid. You know, magic mids, of course. But yeah, it's surprisingly almost. This is pretty damn flat as far as statistics go. This is pretty damn flat. You know, there's always some variation, but it's almost the same chance to get mid essences. Not the same chance, but you get almost the same amount of mid essences from B6, B7, B8, B9, B10. So it almost doesn't matter. Strangely enough, I mean, some people are like, oh yeah, okay, big deal, and then some people are like, oh my god, that's pretty funny. So it really doesn't even matter. Really doesn't even matter. The only things that matter are the highs and lows. So if you really need highs, of course, B10 is gonna be the best for you, but it almost doesn't matter. If you want mids, almost doesn't even matter. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed the video. It was a short one today. It was a short one. I recorded actually two other hours. One was like 45 minutes, the other one was like 30 minutes. And I wasn't really too happy with them. So like, no. Nope. So yeah, that's why we didn't get too much videos today. But I did. I always record more than I put out. But hopefully you guys enjoy the video. Hopefully it makes you at least laugh or you learn something. Even if you're not going to take this into any other aspect of life. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. I will see you as always in the next Bananarama concert.